Yeah, we're going to go live this morning to Mike McCarthy. He's been tracking the storm damage as we're seeing it now in West Jefferson, where a husband and wife were trapped. They had to be rescued. What can you tell us, Mike?
So, Jessica, we are here in West Jeff, where now that the sun is starting to rise, we are finding that damage, and where power crews are out right now working on these power lines going above the road. The major concern, though, right now is all the debris here. Just look, it is all over the road. And also, right over here in these trees, all of that pink stuff you see attached to those limbs, all of that is insulation from a home. And all you have to do is follow the path of that insulation right over the road here into the yard. And right over there is the home where that insulation came from. Half of it now gone. The tree in the front yard ripped apart. We do know there were 2 people inside this home as the storm came through this morning, right around 5 o'clock. This is the area here in Madison County where the National Weather Service had indicated there was that radar-indicated tornado. This woman right here is Katie Shoemaker. She told us her parents were inside their home here, Katie, as this storm happened. I know that they are now okay outside of their home. They had to be rescued by firefighters. How are you guys doing first and foremost this morning? And thank you for taking some time to talk to us amidst everything else you're going through.
Yes. Very emotional, shaken up. My family's been through so much, and then this happens. Our first thought when we got here, and my dad said that his bed lifted on the ground and couldn't get out like it was a joke, but he was serious. They were trapped, and I'm just thankful that they're alive and safe, and God was with them.
I want to make sure people at home heard you correctly right there. You said your dad told you the bed lifted off the ground as all their home around them came apart.
Yes, he called and made sure that we were safe and wanted to let us know that his bed lifted up off the ground and slammed them back down, and they didn't know if it was just like a dream or what it was. And then it wasn't until they got up to go check the house and seeing that they couldn't get out of their bedroom.
Forest Grove Cemetery holds thousands of graves, and one of them holds a mystery.
The parents, they were awful.
The parents of a little girl just born.
Should have never done it, but what can I say?
Only known as Madison Baby Doe.
That will be on them.
Darby Township trustee Klaus Friesen struggles to understand whenever he passes by and sees the kindness from strangers being worn by time.
Yeah, it was last summer when it all happened.
Last summer, along Bluestem Lane and outside the homes of unsuspecting families, trash workers discovered the body of the newborn girl in their truck. Her umbilical cord was still attached.
I was returning home from an errand, and so came upon the trash truck with the 2 drivers on the other side of the road and saw the emotional pain that the driver was experiencing as I came in.
Months later, Phil Spencer doesn't think of that June day often.
I haven't for quite a while.
But just a house away sits a reminder the baby girl's always and forever in their hearts.
Apparently there is nobody that knows of anything.
In a village of 4,000 people, neighbors expected the road to answers would be short, with Plain City Police initially saying
somebody knows either their neighbor or a relative was pregnant, and now they're not pregnant any longer, and there's no child to be seen.
But despite a street lined with cameras, no one has explained how the baby wound up here. And DNA testing hasn't identified any relatives. Investigators promise progress has been made, but say disclosing further details could compromise the investigation and undermine what headway has been achieved. We recognize the public concern in this matter and remain focused on achieving justice.
I wouldn't want to be the mom. I wouldn't want to carry the burden and the guilt of something like that and have to hold it as a secret. To me, that would be severe punishment in and of itself.
Maybe somebody else that did it. I have no idea. But I wish the person get caught.
After a year of waiting, the outcome of this mystery may be uncertain. But those who've prayed for Madison Baby Doe, like a township trustee, hope closure may be just around the corner. Reporting in Plain City, Mike McCarthy, ABC 6 News. When it's time to roll to an emergency, seconds count. And firefighters in Marysville will tell you tools do too. Which is why, beyond the firefighting fundamentals, they're trying to get a new idea to stick.
A sticker.
Yep.
A sticker can make a world of difference when you're stepping outside, stepping off that truck for the first time, and you're putting those tactics together.
Fire Marshal Keith Watson will send one to anyone in the city who's like Matt Milholland.
Get permission from your wife or your husband to put a yellow sticker on your garage door, and that's about as strict as it gets.
He has an electric truck tucked in his garage.
I've never once thought about a fire at the house, but I also never thought of it from a firefighter's perspective either.
We started a program to basically register and identify where electrical vehicle chargers are located.
But really, it's the vehicles he says they're interested in. Fires involving EVs can spread fast, burn differently, and can last longer than in traditional cars. This EV in Florida caught fire after being exposed to hurricane flooding.
It's extremely hard to put out. Matter of fact, water, foam, anything that we normally carry on the trucks won't put that fire out.
Watson says that's because once the EV battery breaks down, more energy gets created, making more heat. It's called thermal runaway, and it causes what the National Transportation Safety Board describes as uncontrollable increases in heat and pressure.
And the heat just continues to escalate as the battery burns and as the fire gets hotter.
So this voluntary registry aims to alert firefighters. The idea for this came from a conference. Participants share their addresses, so when firefighters go to a neighborhood, they know they might find an EV at a home. It's information they should get when they're dispatched. These stickers serve as a visual backup. How many other fire departments are doing this?
In the Central Ohio area that I know of, none.
Since Marysville started a social media campaign several months ago,
Fits nicely on the side of our garage.
it's identified 37 EV locations. There's spots where firefighters might also use this new tool. It's a fire blanket built to smother the heat of an EV fire, as seen in this video from Bridge Hill, the company that made it.
To deploy it is about a 2-minute process, and then it usually takes about 2 minutes, 2 to 4 minutes, to you see the temperature starting to drop inside that fire.
Watson says firefighters also can use this emergency plug like a key to move an EV.
Wow.
One more tool not often used yet.
So this is Ford's level 2 charger.
But Matt Milholland says he was surprised to hear how many garages are getting chargers.
When I called the electricians here in town, they said, yeah, we get a call once a week to put a charger inside of a home. So I know that there's lots of new chargers going in.
I think at some point it's inevitable, whether the car is involved in the fire or not. At some point we're going to have a fire in a house that has an electric vehicle in the garage.
So Marysville firefighters will stick to their plans and try to avoid getting stuck unprepared. On your side, I'm Mike McCarthy reporting. Training to be a police officer requires recruits face challenges.
Quickly, Parker, get out.
But in recent years, just finding recruits has become a growing challenge.
Good.
As well.
Second cruiser, make sure you stay tight.
Step out of the vehicle, sir.
We have a crisis right now. We do not have enough bodies filling these spots.
What I can tell you is we're doing everything in our power to get men and women to join our organization.
All right, that's better.
The population of police and overall population have been flowing in different directions. Data from the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission shows Columbus added people from 2020 through last year. That increase was about 1.7%. But Columbus Police has lost officers, starting in 2020 with 1,947 sworn officers, now down to 1,859, a drop of about 4.5%. Concerning numbers for Police Union President Brian Steele.
This is not a problem that's going to solve overnight, but we have to get together, try to figure this out.
So this is where you got to be careful.
The job of overseeing recruiting efforts belongs to First Assistant Chief LaShawna Potts.
The city is growing faster as the police department numbers have gone down. Does that concern you?
It doesn't, because we're doing everything we possibly can to get those numbers up.
But numbers also show Columbus falls behind Ohio's other biggest cities. Based on census records, Columbus has a ratio of 2 sworn officers for every 1,000 residents. Cleveland has 3, and so does Cincinnati, 3 officers for every 1,000 residents.
Certainly while I'm mayor, this is going to be a top priority, because as our city grows, our division of police needs to grow too.
Mayor Andrew Ginther promises continued funding for an extra annual recruit class. So this year, again, there will be 3 classes with a yearly goal of 150 recruits.
Our hope is by the end of next year, we'll have more officers than we've ever had before in the city's history.
The mayor has said he wants to have more officers on the streets than ever before by the end of next year. Is that a realistic goal, you think?
I think we do set realistic goals. I think we do everything we can to make that happen.
It would be an achievement. The city came close to its yearly recruiting goal in 2022 when it gained 149 officers through its training academy.
Keep your hands up!
But so many officers left that year, the division wound up with fewer officers overall.
All right, good. Bring it over here, please.
What are the major challenges in getting people to be Columbus police officers right now?
I don't think it's just Columbus. I think it's the culture in policing.
A Justice Department report last year detailed recruitment and retention struggles all across the country. It cited COVID-19, a tough labor market, and community frustrations with policing.
We still have some scar tissue. Let's be honest, in 2020, the police were vilified in this city.
Columbus hit a crossroads, the police union believes, downtown, with the racial justice protests following the death of George Floyd.
Black Lives Matter!
And the push for major reforms within CPD, championed by Mayor Ginther.
Racism exists, and police brutality is a manifestation of that racism.
Do you think the conversation you had publicly about the division of police and racism has negatively affected the number of officers within the Columbus Division of Police?
I don't think so. And I think that's, I'm really proud of those comments. I stand by them. I think the people of this community understand that systemic racism exists everywhere.
None of us want another 2020. And so it's up to us as an agency to make sure that we follow best practices when we're talking about policies and procedures.
Potts says the division has increased recruiting efforts by starting one-day hiring events, growing its cadet program, and accepting applications all year. And there are signs of progress.
Good job.
Last year, for the first time since 2020, CPD did gain more officers than it lost.
This is an honorable, outstanding job, and the overwhelming amount of public does support us. It's important that young recruit coming in, we just have to convince them of that.
At the end of the year, this will be a successful recruiting year for you, if what?
If we have more men and women in our ranks.
Any number, any increase?
I think anytime you can increase our numbers is a win. So would I love to have 150? Absolutely. But I'll take a solid 80 or 90 any day.
There we go.
A challenge that rolls on. On your side, Mike McCarthy reporting.